There are 7 kings, 5 have fallen, 1 is, the other has not yet arrived.
In the annals of history, certain empires rise not merely as conquerors of land and people, but as architects of civilization itself. Their names, Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, Rome, and more, echo across the pages of time, whispered in awe and dread, their legacies entwined with the very origins of human society. These are no ordinary kingdoms, for their paths were foretold. They were written into the ancient prophecies of the Bible, their power woven into the divine plan, setting the stage for events that would alter the course of humanity. We gain insights into our own time by exploring these ancient histories and their prophetic connections. Egypt is recognized as the first great world power in both biblical and secular history. Its civilization flourished along the banks of the Nile River, where the abundance of water and fertile land allowed Egypt to develop into one of the most advanced societies of the ancient world. The construction of monumental structures, like the pyramids of Giza and the temples of Karnak, symbolized Egypt's strength and religious devotion. By 1500 BCE, Egypt had established itself as a dominant regional power, wielding influence across the Mediterranean, North Africa, and the Near East. The Bible places Egypt at the center of several key events, most notably the story of the Exodus. According to the Bible, Egypt became the birthplace of the nation of Israel, where the Israelites lived as slaves under Pharaoh's rule. The Exodus story, where Moses leads the Israelites out of Egypt, marks a pivotal event in biblical history. Moses, himself educated in Egypt, penned the first 5 books of the Bible, known as the Torah. The 10 plagues, the crossing of the Red Sea, and the eventual escape from Egypt are events that align with both religious tradition and the Bible's account of Egypt's influence on the formation of Israel. While the exact pharaoh of the Exodus remains a topic of debate, Egyptian sources confirm that the country experienced periods of economic and political instability that align with biblical timelines. The discoveries of ancient Egyptian texts, such as the Merneptah stele, which dates to around 1207 BCE, provide evidence of Egyptian campaigns into Canaan, possibly during the time of the Exodus or shortly thereafter. This stele is one of the earliest known inscriptions that mentions Israel, showing that the Israelites were recognized as a distinct people in the region. Yet Egypt's grip on history, as mighty as it was, could not last forever. Time marched on, and from the north came another power, one even more feared. Assyria, a name that struck terror into the hearts of all who heard it. From the city of Nineveh, the Assyrians unleashed an unstoppable force of brutality and conquest. The second world power in Bible history, Assyria emerged as a dominant power in the ancient Near East around the 10th century BCE, gaining a reputation for its military might and brutal conquests. The capital city of Nineveh, located near the Tigris River, was known for its grandeur and power. Assyrian kings such as Sennacherib and Tiglath-Pileser III expanded the empire through ruthless campaigns, subjugating neighboring territories, including the northern kingdom of Israel. Assyria's methods of warfare, which included mass deportations and brutal reprisals, made it feared throughout the region. In the Bible, Assyria's role is significant, particularly in relation to the northern kingdom of Israel. Around 740 BCE, Assyria, under King Tiglath-Pileser III, began campaigns against Israel, ultimately leading to the kingdom's fall in 722 BCE. The prophet Jonah's reluctance to preach in Nineveh further illustrates the fearsome reputation of the Assyrians. Despite Jonah's initial resistance, Nineveh eventually repented, delaying God's judgment on the city. However, Assyria's brutal tactics and oppression are also highlighted in the book of Isaiah, which prophesied the eventual downfall of Nineveh. Archaeological discoveries at Nineveh have uncovered vast palaces, sculptures, and tablets that document Assyria's military campaigns. The Assyrian king Sennacherib's records boast of his conquests, including the siege of Jerusalem in 701 BCE, an event described in the Bible. One of the most famous finds is the Lachish reliefs, which depict the Assyrian siege of the Judean city of Lachish during the reign of King Hezekiah. These historical records confirm the power and brutality of the Assyrian Empire, aligning with biblical descriptions of their conquests. But as powerful as Assyria seemed, its fate too was sealed. The Bible foretold its downfall, and in time even Nineveh, that symbol of invincible power, would crumble into dust. Another empire was rising in the shadows, preparing to take its place. Babylon, the city of wonders, a kingdom of magnificent temples and towering walls where the great king Nebuchadnezzar II ruled with absolute authority. Babylon rose to prominence under the rule of King Nebuchadnezzar II in the 6th century BCE. Situated along the Euphrates River, Babylon was known for its magnificent architecture, including the famed Hanging Gardens, which was considered one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Babylon's double walls and immense temples, such as the Ziggurat at Temenanki, symbolized its grandeur and strategic importance. Under Nebuchadnezzar, Babylon became the center of a vast empire, stretching from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean Sea. Babylon's role in biblical history is most famously associated with the Babylonian captivity, which began in 597 BCE. After a prolonged siege, Nebuchadnezzar captured Jerusalem, destroying Solomon's temple and deporting the Jewish elite to Babylon. This period of exile profoundly impacted Jewish identity and theology, as many of the Old Testament prophetic books, such as Daniel and Ezekiel, were written during or in response to this time. Daniel's interpretation of Nebuchadnezzar's dream is central to understanding the succession of world empires, including Babylon's role as the head of gold. Babylon's existence and its role in history are well documented through archaeological finds, including the ruins of its walls and palaces. The Ishtar Gate, now housed in the Pergamon Museum in Berlin, is one of the most striking artifacts from ancient Babylon. Inscriptions found on Babylonian monuments confirm Nebuchadnezzar's building projects and his expansionist policies. The discovery of Babylonian chronicles also corroborates the biblical account of the siege of Jerusalem and the exile of the Jewish population. Beyond Babylon, other empires waited in the wings, each with a destiny foretold, each with a role to play in the grand design. But the rise of these new powers would bring their challenges, and the prophecy would unfold with even greater intensity.
This is Sparta!
Medo-Persia, a vast and tolerant empire, yet one whose power was absolute. From the unification of the Medes and the Persians in the 6th century BCE, a new superpower took shape, stretching from the Aegean Sea to the Indus River. Under the visionary leadership of Cyrus the Great, Medo-Persia was not merely an empire of conquest, but of restoration. Medo-Persia, often referred to as the Achaemenid Empire, was formed by the unification of the Medes and the Persians in the 6th century BCE. The empire reached its zenith under the rule of Cyrus the Great, who expanded its territory from the Aegean Sea in the west to the Indus River in the east. Known for its effective administrative structure and tolerance of local customs and religions, Medo-Persia became a dominant force in the ancient world. This empire lasted until 331 BCE, when it was overthrown by Alexander the Great. Medo-Persia plays a significant role in the Bible, particularly in relation to the Jewish people. Cyrus the Great is famously credited with issuing a decree that allowed the exiled Jews to return to Jerusalem and rebuild the temple. This is a key moment in biblical history, recorded in the books of Ezra and Isaiah. Isaiah 44:28 and 45 verse 1 even prophesied Cyrus's role as God's chosen instrument for restoring the Jewish nation, calling him the Anointed One. Furthermore, the book of Daniel contains several references to Medo-Persia. In Daniel 5, the Persian ruler Cyrus is depicted as the conqueror of Babylon, an event that marked the end of Babylon's dominance and the rise of Medo-Persia as the next world empire. Daniel's vision of the ram and the goat, Daniel 8:3-7, is widely interpreted to represent the clash between Medo-Persia, the ram, and Greece, the goat, foreshadowing the latter's eventual conquest. The Cyrus cylinder, discovered in Babylon in 1879, is often cited as historical evidence confirming Cyrus's policy of religious tolerance, which allowed exiled peoples, including the Jews, to return to their homelands. Inscriptions on this clay cylinder mirror the Bible's account of Cyrus's decree and provide secular validation of his role in restoring the Jewish community in Jerusalem. The monumental ruins at Persepolis and Pasargadae, along with the royal tombs at Nakhshe-Rostam, are further evidence of the power and wealth of the Persian Empire. These sites not only reflect the grandeur of the empire, but also align with biblical descriptions of Persian influence during this era. Despite its vast wealth and power, Medo-Persia's days were numbered. Just as Daniel's vision entailed, from the west came a goat, swift and unstoppable. Its single, powerful horn symbolized a new force, one that would sweep across the ancient world like a storm. That storm had a name: Alexander the Great. Greece, a land of culture, philosophy, and warriors. In the 4th century BCE, a young Macedonian king set out to conquer the world, and within a few short years, he did just that. Alexander the Great marched across the known world, from Egypt to India, dismantling the mighty Persian Empire in his path. His military genius and unquenchable ambition reshaped the ancient world, and Greece rose to become the 5th great empire in biblical history. The Greek Empire rose to prominence under Alexander the Great in the 4th century BCE. Alexander's military campaigns, launched from his home in Macedonia, expanded Greek control across the Persian Empire, Egypt, and into parts of India, making Greece the 5th world power in biblical history. Although Alexander died young in 323 BCE, his conquests spread Hellenistic culture, language, and philosophy across the known world, leaving an enduring legacy. After Alexander's death, his empire was divided among his generals, and the political power of Greece fragmented. However, the cultural and intellectual influence of Greece remained strong for centuries, with Greek thought permeating various aspects of life in the Roman Empire and beyond. Greece's role in biblical prophecy is most clearly seen in the book of Daniel. In Daniel 8:5-8, the Greek Empire is symbolized by a goat, which defeats the Persian ram in a vision that foretells the rise of Alexander the Great. The large horn of the goat represents Alexander, whose swift conquests overthrew the Persian Empire. After his death, the Bible prophesied that his empire would be divided into 4 parts, responded to the historical division of Alexander's empire among his generals. Daniel 8:22. The cultural and linguistic influence of Greece also had a profound effect on the New Testament world. The New Testament itself was written in Koine Greek, a dialect that became the common language of the Eastern Mediterranean after Alexander's conquests. This facilitated the spread of Christianity, as Greek served as a lingua franca for early Christian communities across the Roman Empire. Archaeological evidence of Alexander's conquests and the spread of Hellenistic culture can be seen throughout the ancient world, from Egypt to India. The discovery of Greek inscriptions, coins bearing Alexander's likeness, and remnants of Hellenistic architecture confirm the historical accuracy of his widespread influence. The city of Alexandria in Egypt, founded by Alexander, became a major center of learning and culture during this period, with its famous library being a symbol of Greek intellectual dominance. The Parthenon in Athens and other Greek architectural achievements continue to stand as testaments to Greece's cultural legacy. These structures, along with historical texts written by ancient historians such as Herodotus and Arrian, provide a wealth of evidence for Greece's pivotal role in ancient history. Yet even the legacy of Greece was not enough to prevent the coming of the next great power. Beyond the ruins of Greek cities, a new force was stirring in the West. From the heart of Italy, a nation was growing, one that would bring the ancient world under its iron grip. Rome, the Iron Empire. Built on blood and conquest, Rome rose from a small city-state on the banks of the Tiber River to a colossal empire that stretched from Britain to Egypt, from Spain to Syria. Rome was more than just a kingdom, it was a machine. Its roads, aqueducts, and legions were the lifeblood of an empire that would dominate the Mediterranean for centuries. No empire before had achieved such power, such reach. The Roman Empire, which rose after the decline of Greece, became the 6th world power in biblical history. At its height, Rome controlled vast territories across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East, with an unparalleled network of roads and infrastructure that facilitated trade, communication, and military movements. Rome's republican system gradually gave way to imperial rule under figures like Augustus, who established the Pax Romana, a period of relative peace and stability. Rome's influence extended far beyond its borders, with Roman law, culture, and architecture leaving a lasting mark on the Western world. The Roman Empire is also notable for its interactions with early Christianity, as it was during the reign of Roman emperors that Jesus was born, lived, and was crucified. The New Testament is set against the backdrop of the Roman Empire. Jesus was born in Bethlehem due to a Roman census ordered by Emperor Augustus, Luke 2:1-7, and his crucifixion was carried out by Roman soldiers under the authority of Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor of Judea. Matthew 27, verse 11-26. The spread of Christianity in the decades following Jesus' death occurred largely within the confines of the Roman Empire, as seen in the missionary journeys of the Apostle Paul, who traveled extensively throughout Roman provinces, Acts 13-28. The book of Daniel also prophesies Rome's role as a dominant world power. In Nebuchadnezzar's dream, Daniel 2:40-43, the legs of iron in the statue represent the Roman Empire, which would be strong as iron, but ultimately divide. This prophecy aligns with the eventual division of the Roman Empire into eastern and western halves, with the Western Roman Empire falling in 476 CE. The remnants of Roman infrastructure, such as roads, aqueducts, and monumental buildings, remain visible across Europe and the Mediterranean today. The Appian Way, an ancient Roman road, is famously associated with the travels of the Apostle Paul, and the ruins of ancient Rome, including the Colosseum, the Forum, and the Pantheon, continue to attract scholars and visitors alike. Inscriptions and documents from Roman history confirm many of the events described in the Bible, including the reigns of Roman emperors and the administrative structure of Roman provinces. Roman coins bearing the images of emperors like Augustus and Nero provide additional archaeological evidence of the empire's extensive control. With the fall of Rome, the ancient world seemed to come to an end, yet the story was far from over. Another power would rise, one even more unexpected, forging a partnership that would change the world forever. Which entity today is the seventh and the last world power in the Bible? What does this seventh world power mean for the future? And how long will it last? The answers lie ahead in the final chapter of this unfolding prophecy. The seventh and final world power foretold in the pages of Daniel and Revelation is not one empire but a union, a partnership between two nations separated by an ocean but united by ambition and destiny. Britain and the United States of America, two nations whose combined power would change the course of history. The seventh world power in biblical history emerged as a union of two powerful nations, Britain and the United States of America. The roots of this power can be traced back to the rise of England during the late medieval period. By the 18th century, England, through its navy and colonial expansion, had transformed itself into the British Empire, the largest empire the world had ever seen. At its height in the 19th century, the British Empire controlled vast territories spanning North America, Africa, Asia, and the Pacific, earning the title the Empire on which the sun never sets. The rise of the United States as a global power began in earnest after its independence from Britain in 1776. Over the next century, the U.S. expanded westward, grew economically, and by the late 19th and early 20th centuries, had established itself as a world leader. The critical turning point for Anglo-America as a dual world power came after World War I, 1914 to 1918, when Britain and the U.S. formed a close political and economic alliance. This partnership solidified after World War II, 1939 to 1945, as the two nations emerged as the dominant Western powers in the post-war world, often working together in key global events, such as the Cold War and the formation of international bodies like the United Nations and NATO. The Bible contains prophetic references to the succession of world powers, culminating in the seventh power in both the book of Daniel and Revelation. In the book of Revelation, the Apostle John received a vision of 7 kings representing successive political empires. Revelation 17:10 states, "There are 7 kings, 5 have fallen, one is, the other has not yet arrived, but when he does arrive, he must remain for only a short while." At the time of John's writing, 5 world powers, Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Medo-Persia, and Greece, had already fallen, and Rome was in power. The 7th king would come after Rome, which aligns with the rise of Anglo-America, a power that was yet to arrive during John's time. Furthermore, the book of Daniel offers prophetic imagery in the form of Nebuchadnezzar's dream, where a large statue represents successive world empires. The statue's feet, made of a mixture of iron and clay, symbolize the politically and socially unstable nature of the final world power. This image fits the description of the Anglo-American alliance, which, while strong militarily and economically, is often divided in its politics and social cohesion. The combination of iron and clay may represent the uneasy balance of power between the British monarchy, a symbol of tradition, and the democratic, republican principles of the United States. In addition, Daniel 7 verse 23 to 24 describes a 4th beast, often understood as Rome, that will have 10 horns. Out of these 10 horns, an 11th will rise, different from the others, which some scholars interpret as symbolizing the British-American dual world power, rising from the remnants of the Roman Empire and becoming the final empire prophesied to rule the world stage. The British Empire's expansion throughout the 18th and 19th centuries is one of the most thoroughly documented events in modern history. By 1920, Britain controlled 1/4 of the world's landmass and population, including key regions such as India, Canada, Australia, and large parts of Africa. British colonialism left an indelible mark on the global economy, politics, and culture. The Industrial Revolution, which began in Britain, revolutionized industries worldwide, and British influence in science, education, and law spread globally. The U.S. became a world power through its rapid industrialization, vast natural resources, and increasing involvement in global conflicts. By the 20th century, the U.S. had developed into the largest economy in the world and became a decisive force during the World Wars. After World War II, the U.S. emerged as the leader of the Western Bloc, engaging in a geopolitical struggle with the Soviet Union during the Cold War. Together with Britain, the U.S. shaped major global institutions and policies, including the creation of the United Nations and NATO, the Bretton Woods financial system, and post-war rebuilding efforts in Europe and Asia through initiatives such as the Marshall Plan. The Anglo-American alliance has been a defining feature of 20th and 21st century geopolitics, from joint military operations to shared economic and political interests. Their influence over global institutions, such as the United Nations Security Council, where both countries hold permanent seats, underscores their ongoing prominence as world powers. Biblical prophecy and the future of the seventh world power. Biblical prophecy suggests that the Anglo-American world power, like those before it, will not last indefinitely. The feet of iron and clay in Nebuchadnezzar's dream indicate a fragile and unstable nature, suggesting that while this power may be strong, it is inherently divided and will eventually give way to a different form of rulership, as foretold in Daniel 2, verse 44, where it is said, "In the days of those kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that will never be destroyed." This prediction points to the eventual decline of the Anglo-American world power, marking the transition from human rulership to divine governance, as depicted in biblical eschatology. Revelation 19 and 20 describe the final establishment of God's kingdom on earth, which will replace all human governments, including the seventh world power.